Hi, I am Yuzael Ekrem Arcansio, and I will be discussing about the geography and nature of Hong Kong. So, let's start. Hong Kong is located on south coast of China, 60 kilometers or 37 miles east of Macau on the opposite side of the Pearl River Delta, north to Shenzhen. It borders Guangdong city of Shenzhen to the north over the Shenzhen River, Wanshan Island of Zhuhai in Guangdong province to the south. It consists of Hong Kong Island, Kowloon Peninsula, the New Territories, and other 262 small islands. So originally, Hong Kong was a small fishing village, but today, it is one of the world's most cosmopolitan cities where the East truly meets the West. Next are the islands and beaches of Hong Kong. With more than 450 miles of coastline, 100 beaches, and 260 outlying islands, Hong Kong is a haven for nature lovers and sun seekers. So, these are the examples of island in Hong Kong: Lantau Island, Lama Island, and the famous Hong Kong Island. These are the examples of beaches in Hong Kong. Tai Long Wan, or also known as Big Wave Bay, on the coast of Sang Kung Peninsula in Sai Kung District. Next is the Turtle Beach, also known as Sham Wan in Tai Tam, Hong Kong. Next is the Chung Chau Windsurf Beach in Chung Chau, Hong Kong. Next is rivers of Hong Kong. Hong Kong is very much known for its river. There are over 200 rivers in Hong Kong, while the majority of them are short and unnamed. Sham Chun River is the longest river in Hong Kong, and it is famous as the natural border between mainland China and Hong Kong, along with Deep Bay and Shan Tao Kok River. Mountains and volcanoes. There are over 134 mountain peaks and volcanoes in Hong Kong. Tai Mo Shan is the highest peak in Hong Kong, with 957 meters high. It is located between Tsuen Wan and Yung Long, Hong Kong. Victoria Peak is the highest point on Hong Kong Island, with 554 meters high. Climate in Hong Kong. Hong Kong has a subtropical climate with high temperatures. The annual average temperature is 22.8 degrees Celsius. Summer is hot and humid with temperature between about 26 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. Winter is so cool and dry, but temperature rarely drops below 5 degrees Celsius. From May to September is rainy season, and from July to September there are typhoons often. In Hong Kong, there are high-rise concentrated and dense urban areas. With densely populated, heat islands effect occurs, which lead to significant temperature differences the city and the suburbs. Best time to visit. Hong Kong is suitable for visiting all year round. If you must point out the best time to visit Hong Kong, it should be from September through Christmas, because October to November, weather is cool with less rain, quite comfortable. December next March, it is discounted season in Hong Kong. Starting from the first week in December, the closer to Christmas, the more discounts you can enjoy. Shopping districts are mainly located in Tsim Shan Tsui, Mong Kok, Central and Causeway Bay, and other places. Tourism resources in Hong Kong are quite abundant. It can meet most people's expectation for the trip, including traditional heritage, natural sites, theme parks, colorful architectures, and many more. So, these are the best tourist destination in Hong Kong. First is Hong Kong Disneyland. It is the first in China, second in Asia, and the fifth Disneyland in the world. There are most unique attractions, two Disney-themed hotels, and the colorful shopping, eating, and entertainment facilities in the park. If you travel with kids and you have never been to Disneyland, it is suggested to spend a whole day there. Next is Ocean Park. It is one of the most popular parks in the world. You can not only see a variety of animals there, but you can also enjoy a lot of wonderful shows and have fun with exciting entertainment facilities. Next is Victoria Peak. Victoria Peak is the highest point in Hong Kong with an elevation of 554 meters like I said a while ago, which makes the best site to overview Hong Kong. It is located in the northwest of Hong Kong Island and has been regarded as the symbol of Hong Kong. It is the Hong Kong most prestigious luxury senior housing area. No matter you are a romantic person or not, be sure to arrange the night tour on the peak with cable car travel. It will impress you a lot. Next is Victoria Harbor. This harbor is the largest harbor in Asia and third largest in the world. Usually, the charm of Hong Kong to women would be shopping. To children should be dreaming Disneyland. But the essence of Hong Kong tour would be its night view. You can hang over in Lan Kwai Fong in Central or riding the Star Ferry to enjoy the light show of the Victoria Harbor. Or take the Peak Tram to board to Peak to enjoy the overwhelming landscape of night. Transportation and telecommunication. The government has enforced a strict limitation on automobile ownership and placed heavy emphasis on the development of public transportation. A bridge connecting Hong Kong, Macau, and Zhuhai on the mainland opened in 2018 after 9 years of work. Apart from the bus, tram, and ferry, the public is also served by unique minibus service, a rapid transit system, and electric railway. The Victoria Peak area is served by one of the oldest transport company which operates a cable car system. International traffic is served by Hong Kong's International Airport and its magnificent harbor. The Port of Hong Kong, based at one of the world's finest natural harbors, is renowned for its efficiency and capacity. Passengers and freight rail service are provided by the Kwan Loong Canton Railway. Hong Kong has one of the world's most advanced and technologically sophisticated telecommunication system. Types of transportation in Hong Kong: by air, bus, rail or MTR, and ship. Traffic in Hong Kong is very developed. It can reach most of countries all over the world by air, rail, or ship, and it is quite convenient to travel from mainland China by air, rail, or ship. Air traveler will be treated to Chek Lap Kok, Hong Kong's giant greenhouse of an airport. By the way, Hong Kong International Airport is one of the top 10 airports in the world. By land, the only way to Hong Kong is from China mainland. You can choose either bus or train. Water is perhaps the most picturesque way to arrive in Hong Kong. There are boats or ships that take you between Hong Kong and destination in Guangdong and Guangxi province as well as Macau. Internal public transportation of Hong Kong is also very convenient and various as well, including MTR or subway, bus or minibus, tram, taxi, the Peak Tram, ferries, light rail, and many more. And that's all my report. Again, I am Yuze Al Ikram Arkansho, and I hope you learned something from it. Thank you.
Let's talk about the people of Hong Kong, or Hong Kongers is what they call themselves. Hong Kong has a population of more or less 9 million as of 2020 that live in an area of just 1,104 square kilometers, making it one of the most densely populated places in the world. As of 2020, Hong Kong has two cities with more than a million people. The city of Hong Kong has the most population with 7 million, followed by Kowloon with 2 million. Because Hong Kong is a real mix of ethnicities and nationalities, you'll hear dozens of languages spoken on the streets. There are many workers from the Philippines and Indonesia, for example, as well as many from nearby Malaysia, making for a fascinating linguistic landscape. Hong Kong culture differs to mainland China culture not just in terms of language, but the people of Hong Kong often smile more, seem happier, and are more polite and circumspect in public. Examples of their cultures are their Western life and Chinese customs, social convention, and their cuisine. Diverse cultures in Hong Kong bring convenience for visitors. You will find it easier to travel around Hong Kong for many people can speak English with many major streets and places having easy to read and understand English names. Hong Kongers are extremely fond of seafood. Drinking tea in Hong Kong is routine as people have snacks in tea houses in the morning or at lunchtime. Street snacks are also a part of food culture in Hong Kong. So this is an example of a Chinese New Year lifestyle. Because Hong Kong was a British colonial city for so long, much of the British culture influenced daily life, especially entertainment and food. Hong Kong locals love to go to the horse track, hang out in jazz clubs, eat cuisine from around the world, and wear the hippest European trends. The younger crowd likes to head out to be seen at Hong Kong's numerous bars and nightclubs. Many of Hong Kong's fashionable young ladies like to spend the evenings shopping in Hong Kong's many boutiques. There is a new health trend with the younger crowd. They enjoy going out on the weekends to do yoga or aerobics. Generally speaking, Hong Kong people have a very fast pace of life. They walk fast, eat fast, speak fast, and live fast. They follow the norm that time is money and efficiency is the key to success. Next is their education system. The education system in Hong Kong is of high quality. Both public and private schools are highly regarded. However, private schooling is significantly more expensive. As for the differences between public and private school is that public schools in Hong Kong are well known for putting a lot of pressure on students and not all parents approve of this strict approach. Private international schools, on the other hand, have adopted the more Western culture of education with more relaxed curricula. Here are different types of schools in Hong Kong. This is an example of Hong Kong International School. There are four main types of religion in Hong Kong. These are the Chinese folk religion, which is characterized by a multi-faith diversity of beliefs and practices. Most of the Hong Kong people of Chinese descent practice this religion, which is a combination of Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism, placed atop Chinese archaic shamanism. Buddhism is a path of practice and spiritual development leading to insight into the true nature of reality. Buddhist practices like meditation are means of changing yourself in order to develop the qualities of awareness, kindness, and wisdom. Taoism, the Taoist concept most popular to Western is that of yin and yang, which describes how seemingly opposite or contrary forces may actually be complementary, interconnected, and interdependent in the natural world, and how they may give rise to each other as they interrelate to one another. Last is Christianity. It is the faith tradition that focuses on the figure of Jesus Christ. In this context, faith refers both to the believer's act of trust and to the content of their faith. There are three types of housing in Hong Kong. First is the high-rise apartments. Due to rising population, most of pre-war shop houses were demolished and many high-rise tenements and apartment blocks were built. Housing deficit was huge, thus smaller and smaller apartments were built. Residents altered buildings to use every space, old apartments were subdivided, balconies were enclosed and turned into additional rooms, caged balconies were added on building facades, huts were built on rooftops, etc. In Hong Kong, the caged balconies were removed during the 1990s due to risk of falling, but in Macau they are still present up to this day. Rural villages. Hong Kong villages exist mostly in new territories but also in the remote parts of Hong Kong Island and Kowloon. Most of the village houses are composed by apartments too, probably 2 to 4 per floor. The government limit the height of villages to 3 floors but due to housing deficit, numerous village houses have their roof terrace covered and converted in 4th floor, sometimes 5th floor. The village streets can be narrow as 1.5 meters or a 5-foot walkway. Last, the coffin homes. Coffin homes, a grim reality of Hong Kong's housing system. Coffin homes are apartments piled within flats illegally divided to welcome around 15 owners and vary from stucked wooden bed to metal cages. The people living there are for the most part retirees with small to no pension, working poor, drug addicts, or people with mental illnesses, basically all people who could not or cannot follow the quick globalization of their own city and fell under the poverty line. Apart from their personal space, which roughly consists of a bed and maybe a few furniture for those who manage to squeeze them in, people must share communal areas such as a kitchen or toilets and put up with situations like bug infestations on a daily basis. Recently, researchers from the University of Hong Kong noticed that some of the buildings sheltering the cubicles housed up to 6 times the number of people they were designed for, thus increasing the potential risk of fire or disease. So here is a brief history of the housing system in Hong Kong. Last is the jobs or work culture. As with most Asian cities, there is strong deference for seniority and age in Hong Kong work culture. Characterized by hierarchical structures, decisions are typically made at the top of company. Subordinates will follow a manager's instructions and are not encouraged to express opinions as challenging someone of higher status is considered rude. Dress code norms are fairly conservative. In Chinese culture, different colors have different meanings. For example, red represents luck while white is a traditional symbol of mourning. For any professional setting, even during business dinners, formal attire is the safest option as it is associated with professionalism. Equally considerable is calling people by their correct title and surname, rather than their first name. Some Hong Kong professionals may modify their name to be more Western sounding. You should still double check the pronunciation before.
I'm Maria Elena Pitivera. I'm going to discuss the government and economy of Hong Kong. As a brief introduction, Hong Kong exists as a special administrative region controlled by the People's Republic of China and enjoys its own limited autonomy as defined by the Basic Law. The principle of one country, two systems allows for the coexistence of socialism and capitalism under one country, which is mainland China. The whole territory has been inhabited since the Old Stone Age, later becoming part of the Chinese Empire with its loose incorporation into the Qin dynasty. Starting out as a farming fishing village and salt production site, it became an important free port and eventually a major international financial center today. Once named Asia's Tiger, Hong Kong is now known as one of the world's best tourist destinations. First, I will discuss the government of Hong Kong. Under the government, we have the constitutional framework. When it was a colony, Hong Kong was administered by a governor who was appointed by and represented the monarch of the United Kingdom, directed the government, served as the commander-in-chief, and presided over the two main organs of government, which is the Executive Council and the Legislative Council. With the resumption of China's sovereignty over the territory in July 1997, the Basic Law of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, promulgated by the National People's Congress of China in 1990, went into effect. The guiding principle of the Basic Law was the concept of one country, two systems, under which Hong Kong was allowed to maintain its capitalist economy and to retain a large degree of political autonomy, except in matters of foreign policy and defense, for a period of 50 years. A controversial security law passed by the mainland government and imposed on Hong Kong in 2020, however, had the ability to weaken the concept of one country, two systems, and threatened the political autonomy that the region had enjoyed. The Basic Law vests executive authority in a chief executive who is under the jurisdiction of the central government in Beijing and serves a 5-year term. Legislative authority rests with a legislative council of 70 members, increased from 60 for the 2012 legislative elections, serve a 4-year term. The chief executive, however, can dissolve the council before the end of a term. According to the Basic Law, the chief executive for the second term was appointed by the central government, following election by an 800-member election committee in Hong Kong. The constituencies for LegCo members were then defined during their second and third terms, and by the third term, half had been directly elected from geographic constituencies and half had been selected from functional constituencies, drawn from business and professional circles. The Basic Law further states, however, that the chief executive and council members ultimately were to be elected by universal suffrage. Those electoral procedures were to have been determined by 2007, but in that year the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress in Beijing ruled that universal suffrage would not be implemented before 2012. 200-member election committee chose a new chief executive in 2012, but by then Beijing had indicated that direct election for that office may be permitted in 2017. However, that never came to pass, leading to widespread concern among pro-democracy Hong Kong citizens that true universal suffrage would never be implemented. Civil and criminal law is derived generally from that of the United Kingdom, and the Basic Law states that this system is to be maintained. The highest court in the judiciary is the Court of Final Appeal, headed by a Chief Justice. This is followed by the High Court, headed by a Chief Judge, and by district, magistrate, and special courts. The Chief Executive appoints all judges, although judges of the Court of Final Appeal and the Chief Judge of the High Court also must be confirmed by the Legislative Council and reported to the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress. This is the Legislative Council building. Next, we have the health and welfare of Hong Kong. The health of the populace is generally good, the result in part of an aggressive program of public measures, including the promotion of preventive medicine and personal health services and a relatively high quality of life. Improving health indexes and a downward trend in the occurrence of major communicable diseases are leading indicators of the state of health in Hong Kong. Most deaths are caused by cancer, heart disease, and respiratory diseases. Hospitals are divided into three groups: government, government-assisted, and private. These hospitals are under great pressure to meet the needs of people. Clinics, some operated by the government, supplement other medical facilities. Both-born clinics provide services to some outlying villages. The social security system long was largely limited to emergency relief programs. However, since the mid-1990s, spending on social welfare has increased significantly. There are assistance programs for the unemployed, the elderly, and people with disabilities. The aging of the population, coupled with the extreme crowding in the city, has been one of the main issues with elder care. More recent programs have included those focused on family welfare, including daycare, counseling services, and accident compensation. So let's now proceed with the economy of Hong Kong. The economy of Hong Kong is a highly developed free market economy characterized by low taxation, almost free port trade, and well-established international financial market. Its currency, called the Hong Kong dollar, is legally issued by three major international commercial banks and is pegged to the US dollar. Interest rates are determined by the individual banks in Hong Kong to ensure they are market-driven. There is no officially recognized central banking system, although the Hong Kong Monetary Authority functions as a financial regulatory authority. According to the Index of Economic Freedom, Hong Kong has had the highest degree of economic freedom in the world since the inception of the index in 1995. Its economy is governed under positive non-interventionism and is highly dependent on international trade and finance. For this reason, it is regarded as among the most favorable places to start a company. In fact, a recent study shows that Hong Kong has come from 998 registered startups in 2014 to over 2,800 in 2018, with e-commerce 22%, fintech 12%, software 12%, and advertising 11%, companies comprising the majority. The Economic Freedom of the World Index listed Hong Kong as the number one country with a score of 8.97 in 2015. Hong Kong's economic strengths include a sound banking system, virtually no public debt, a strong legal system, ample foreign exchange reserves at around $408 billion US dollars as of mid-2017, rigorous anti-corruption measures, and close ties with mainland China. The Hong Kong Stock Exchange is a favorable destination for international firms and firms from mainland China to be listed due to Hong Kong's highly internationalized and modernized financial industry, along with its capital market in Asia, its size, regulations, and available financial tools, which are comparable to London and New York. Hong Kong's gross domestic product has grown 180 times between 1961 and 1997. Also, the GDP per capita rose by 87 times within the same time frame. Its economy is slightly larger than Israel's or Ireland's, and its GDP per capita at purchasing power parity was the sixth highest globally in 2011, higher than the United States and the Netherlands, and slightly lower than Brunei. In 2009, Hong Kong's real economic growth fell by 2.8% as a result of the global financial turmoil. By the late 20th century, Hong Kong was the seventh largest port in the world and second only to New York and Rotterdam in terms of container and throughput. Hong Kong is a full member of World Trade Organization. The Kai Chung Container Complex was the largest in Asia, while Hong Kong shipping owners were second only to those of Greece in terms of total tonnage holdings in the world. The Hong Kong Stock Exchange is the sixth largest in the world, with a capitalization of about 3.732 trillion US dollars. Hong Kong has also had an abundant supply of labor from the regions nearby. A skilled labor force coupled with the adoption of modern British Western business methods, and technology ensured that opportunities for external trade, investment, and recruitment were maximized. Prices and wages in Hong Kong are relatively flexible, depending on the performance and stability of the economy of Hong Kong. Hong Kong raises revenues from the sale of and taxation of land and through attracting international businesses to provide capital for its public finance. Due to its low tax policy, according to Hill Consultants, Hong Kong has the most attractive business environment within East Asia in terms of attracting foreign direct investments. In 2013, Hong Kong was the third largest recipient of FDI in the world. Hong Kong ranked fourth on the Tax Justice Network's 2011 Financial Secrecy Index. The Hong Kong government was the fourth highest ranked Asian government in the World Economic Forum's Network Readiness Index, a measure of a government's information and communication technologies in 2016, and ranked 13th globally. Next is the finance of Hong Kong. Since 1969, Hong Kong has emerged as one of the major financial centers of the Asia-Pacific region, despite the fact that it is without the services of a central bank. The regional government delegates the function of such an institution to the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, which oversees Hong Kong's monetary policy and regulates its currency, the Hong Kong dollar, and the selected commercial banks. In addition to the licensed banks in the region, there are representative offices of foreign banks, including registered deposit-taking companies. Domestic and international currencies are traded at the Hong Kong Foreign Exchange Market. The stock market attracts investment from both foreign and domestic sources. Some of its major shares are also traded on the London stock market. A gold bullion market, once the world's largest, is operated by the Chinese Gold and Silver Exchange Society. The lack of exchange controls has contributed to the success of Hong Kong as a financial center. Next, we have the products and services of Hong Kong. The service sector dominates the Hong Kong economy. In the absence of significant agriculture and a large and growing industrial base, it has become the largest economic sector in terms of income generation, employment, and contribution to GDP. The service sector consists of a wide range of companies of various sizes, local and foreign, including multinational corporations, interested in Hong Kong for its many opportunities for service activities. The major services are financial, trade, tourism, retail, real estate, and transportation. Finance, insurance, real estate, and investment services are the most viable economic activities, which have made Hong Kong a major global financial center. The products listed below are the imports and exports products of Hong Kong. The last topic that I will discuss will be the trade and tourism of Hong Kong. Hong Kong's free trade policy has made the territory one of the world's great centers of trade. There is no tariff on imports except for some luxury items such as perfumes, motor vehicles, alcoholic beverages, and tobacco. Hong Kong is dependent upon imported products, which make up about half of the total amount of external trade, the rest being divided between exports and re-exports. Apart from trade with other regions of China, major suppliers include Japan, Taiwan, and Singapore. Capital and consumer goods such as electrical machinery and apparatus, clothing, radios, television sets, stereos, and computers represent the largest group of imports. The second largest group includes mineral fuels, raw materials, semi-manufactured goods such as synthetic and natural textiles, chemicals and electronic components, and foodstuff. China became the main market for Hong Kong's products prior to 1997, and this trade remained predominant after the territory's reintegration. Other major export destinations include the United States and Japan. Tec- Textiles and clothing are the leading exports. Also important are electrical machinery and appliances, office machinery, photographic apparatus, and a variety of other manufactured items. The exports constitute a major portion of the goods shipped out of Hong Kong. Wholesale and retail trade also are major components of the service sector, as is tourism. The tourist trade, which is highly promoted by the government and well catered to by the huge service sector, now constitutes a significant component of the economy. The greatest number of tourist arrivals are from the mainland. In addition, a large number of business and tourist travelers from Taiwan pass through Hong Kong on their way to and from destinations on the mainland. Hong Kong Disneyland, a theme park based on the original Disneyland in California, opened in 2005 on Lantau Island and became a major amusement attraction. I also included the tourist guide map just in case you are interested to visit Hong Kong. And lastly, I would like to introduce the presenters of our topic. Sunny tackled the history of Hong Kong. Mrs. Zell covered the geography of Hong Kong. Miss Aubrey discussed the people of Hong Kong. And lastly, my topic, which is all about the government and economy of Hong Kong. We also include here our statement regarding Hong Kong. So that would be all. Thank you.